Hi listeners, Jason here. PHSCon 2024 was nothing short of amazing. We had 400 community members come together, both in person and online, to rapidly progress our understanding and practice of psychological health and safety in workplaces worldwide. Over the 2 days, we laughed together, we were inspired, and we learnt. If you missed out, don't worry, on-demand access to content is now available at phscon.com. Plans are already underway for a bigger and better PHSCon back in Sydney for 2025. So save the date for next year when we return to a larger venue on June 19th and 20th. Now, on to this episode.
From Flourish DX, this is the Psych Health and Safety Podcast. With workplace mental health becoming a safety prerogative, this is the source of information on psychological injury prevention and health promotion.
Welcome to the Psych Health and Safety Podcast. My name is Jason Van Schie and I'm one of the hosts of the show. The aim of the podcast is to rapidly increase the knowledge and application of psychological health and safety in workplaces worldwide. To help with this, we have regular guests from around the world who are leading the way in this important area. But before I introduce our guest and topic for today, allow me to introduce my co-host, Joelle Mitchell. How are you today, Joelle?
I'm going to have to try not to turn my head because I've had to see the physio about a sore neck problem.
Yes, we should have thought about that maybe.
Oh, it's all right. It's mostly when I turn it the other way that it causes me problems. So
you can maybe just look at me.
I'll look at you on the screen.
Yeah, that's cool. That'll be interesting actually for our viewers to see us look directly at them while we're having a conversation with each other.
The 10 people who watch the YouTube videos.
Yeah, give or take. 10.
10-ish, yeah.
10-ish. Yeah. So you've hurt your neck.
I didn't do anything exciting. It was, I think, the being busy and traveling, not my normal pillow, all that kind of stuff. And then I had a slouchy weekend on the couch and that combination of things.
So it wasn't your parkour that did it?
My sitting in the car while my son does parkour? No, it was not.
I just have this vision of you doing the parkour, Joelle. Whenever you say, I've got to go to parkour, yeah.
Well, I imagine that's because it's very amusing for you to picture that, Jason.
It's good. And then I think about the Office film clip where parkour.
Yeah. That'd be more likely than an impressive type of parkour from me,
Yeah, well, look, hopefully you get better soon.
I will. I have instructions and exercises to do and a follow-up appointment, so I have faith that my neck will feel better soon.
And drugs.
And drugs, yes.
Yep.
Well, that was part of my instructions.
Yeah. And inflammatories.
Yes.
Yep.
Those types of drugs, yeah.
Cool. Well, we have two guests today.
We do have two guests.
So we probably should get them in.
Yep.
Okay. So Dr. Roxane Gervais is a chartered psychologist and registered occupational psychologist with expertise in organisational leadership, work-related stress, and work-related mental health. She is the director and principal psychologist at Practical Psychology Consultancy. And then Dr. Prue Millear is a senior lecturer in psychology at the University of the Sunshine Coast. Her research interests focus on personal agency and self-regulation and how the quality of jobs, family life and leisure are the basis for a happy old age. I concur. Welcome to the podcast, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, great. And we always take recommendations, and Pauline Willis recommended the two of you. So, looking forward to the conversation today.
It's very nice to be here.
So what we like to ask all of our guests initially is about your professional career. So Roxane, I might start with you, and can you give us maybe a highlights reel of your professional career, please?
Well, I suppose I have been a bit of a nomad. I've slowed down a bit because I'm originally from the Caribbean, so I did my first degree at the University of the West Indies, my second degree at Fairleigh Dickinson University in New Jersey in the United States, and my doctorate at the University of Hull in England. So I think I've traveled the world trying to get educated. I'm not sure I succeeded, but I did try. I made a valiant effort to move around while getting my degrees. I think I've always focused on well-being in the work environment, even when I was in a clerical role in Trinidad, because I worked before I started my first degree, because I thought, I can't go to university. The trauma of A-levels was too much for me. And then I always looked at the work environment and think, well, why is this happening? Why can't the structure be better? Why why doesn't it work with what is happening here? What can I do to improve on it? And then I decided to study occupational psychology. So in Trinidad at that time, there was no psychology degree, so I had a sociology degree. Went to New Jersey to do my master's in industrial organizational psychology, and then came to Hull to finish my PhD in occupational psychology. So I've always had this fascination with trying to improve what's happening at work so that people can function better, be more content, enjoy their jobs. Because I mean, throughout my career, I've always worked while studying. And you think, why is this happening? It's not rocket science. We can do this as individuals. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, I think that certainly will resonate with certainly us and most of the people who listen to this podcast as well. That's what they're interested as well. So thank you. And Prue, what about you?
A slightly different path. I did ag science as my first degree because I grew up on a farm, and when I was choosing my degrees, nobody could tell me what you did with a science degree, and I went, "Oh, ag science. I could do that because I'd grown up on a farm and I understood that." And when I finished, not many women worked in agriculture, and I remember I had a job in Victoria, and the first place I went to, I got grilled by the farmer about what did I know. And I thought, mate, a lot actually. And so I worked for a while, and then my husband and I had various farms and businesses. And when I went back to work when the kids were older, we were in Queensland and just doing sales and thinking, why do people keep talking to me all the time? And I thought, no, I'm not very good at this. And I went back to study psychology because I ended up at a career counsellor who said, you should do something. And I said, I don't want to be a clinician. No, 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 no. And she said, oh, God, there's so much more to psychology than that. And I went, oh, I could do that. And so I did a grad dip and honours and discovered lifespan psychology. So Erickson and the whole thing about a good life, what it is to have a good life. And part of that was about what makes for a good work. What is it about the balance between work and family, and what are those conditions? And the thing that really intrigued me, particularly about the org psych literature, was that there was no sense of who was the person doing this work. Who's, we all know the more cheerful people who go, oh, it's fine, it'll be good. And so I did that, and I've been at the University of the Sunshine Coast since 2011, doing that sort of research about work and family and all those sorts of things in various guises. And Roxane and I met in 2008 in Spain at a conference, and have worked together now since 2011, and it's been a lot of fun. It's sort of we've done a lot of checking times, like, oh, it's what time is it for you? And sort of, so we're very good on coordinating schedules, at odd hours of the day. So yes, I've been there, and I really enjoy the academic work because I enjoy to see when students get it and they get excited about it, and you see people who were perhaps not doing much, who have been inspired and really rebuilt their lives and given them and given themselves somewhere to go. And the Sunshine Coast, the University of the Sunshine Coast, is the newest university in Australia, and so it was an area that was really God's waiting room. That was what it was called, because people came to retire, and now with the university and with the campus at Moreton Bay, it's giving a lot of people the opportunity to improve their lives and stay where they live. They don't have to go to Brisbane, and so that's where I am now. I've just finished as the honours coordinator, psychology honours coordinator, which has kept me busy, and now I have slightly more time, and we're busy writing papers and doing things together, which is great, and research. So it's a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prue. I also grew up on a farm.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
nothing wrong
right.
with that.
No, great place to live, terrible place to make a living.
Yeah.
Yes, much easier ways to make a living. Yes. So, Prue, that's a good segue, actually. Though you're talking about the research that you are, doing and writing papers and whatnot, and that's obviously why Joelle reached out to you to see if we could get you to talk about your latest research. So, what are you currently exploring?
We are interested in the benefits of what is called serious leisure to people's work lives. So, serious leisure is literally what you are serious about in your spare time. So it's freely chosen, it's uncoerced and interesting. So Stebbins has done most of the work on this, and but it talks about the difference between obligations, so the obligations to work, the obligations to family, and what you do because you want to. And if we think about, and so my interest particularly comes from going to some off-road motorsport events. My husband's been involved for a long time, and seeing just how happy all of the men who were attending were, and thinking, how is this happening? We know that men's mental health is a real problem, and these are blokes who were as happy as anything. It's just wonderful. And so the research project has come about because that's all very well to have this wonderful leisure event, this hobby or amateur event or volunteering and things. But what does it do for your work life? Because what I saw with the 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 people who are engaged in it's called the Sunraysia Safari, based at Wentworth in the Riverland, so sort of that corner of New South Wales, Victoria, and South Australia, uh, is that being immersed in something pushes work back to where work should be. Work is work. You need to work. It's good for you. But it's sort of like when it intrudes on the rest of your life, then that's when it saps your energy and it sort of you feel like you're overwhelmed with those sorts of things. So what we're interested this time is, and we have two parts to the research, is firstly a survey. So asking about, it's called the Serious Leisure Inventory and Measure, and the measures of recovery and of well-being, to get a sense of all of the different varieties of leisure. So it can be motorsport, it could be sewing, it could be books, and I've got a lot more than these ones. It
That's
might be
one.
wine and
Joelle would have books.
I have lots of
yeah.
books. Yeah.
Oh, books are good. Books are fabulous. But things like it might be wine appreciation. It could be cooking. It
Jason
could
has
be
that.
No, it's called alcoholism. Similar.
no,
Same.
but it's the things you do because it's fun and you don't have to do it. So it can be your leisure activities can be around socializing or physical activity or all those sorts of things. So we're interested in what is the benefit of those hobbies and leisure in the way that it helps you with boundary management. So that you remember the early research on work-life balance was all about the boundary between work and family was quite permeable. That work very often fed over into the family life, but not the other way. But it would our working hypothesis is that that the more serious you are about your leisure, the easier it is for those boundaries to be solid. Because on the weekend, you're not going, oh, I'm a bit bored. I'm a bit bored. Oh, I could check my emails. Whereas you're going, hell no, I have some beer to brew. I have some cooking. I'm going to try out that new recipe. So it's a way that allows you to say, I have another valued identity. It's a place where I feel good about myself. It's not only tied up in work. And so that's the survey. The second one is we're interested to talk to people about their research, about their leisure activities, and particularly the things that what they call edge work. So when you are at the edge, when you are absolutely as close to crashing as you can get without crashing. So edge work itself is defined as doing the things where you could die if you don't do it right. So think people in wingsuits and riding motorbikes really, really fast. So those sorts of things. So it's a lot of fun to do that, but what does it do to your appreciation of the challenges and the stresses you have at work? So it's really about this notion that this other side of work, this other side of life that you do freely and for fun and you have a blast is actually good because it gives you genuine respite from work. Yeah.
No, that's really interesting, and two very very interesting fields of research. Yeah, I can imagine there's a lot of benefits for what you'll find in that research and how you disseminate that will be really valuable because I haven't read too much on either of those topics.
No. No, and it's really intriguing. So the serious leisure, the people who know about serious leisure are those who are in tourism research or that sort of, that in what we know in organisational psychology is about recovery from work. We know that it benefits you to detach or to have mastery experiences or just to lie on the couch and do nothing. And so that switching off, it's the chronic nature of work that is the problem. But recovery from work does not capture what I saw at Wentworth. It's not, it doesn't capture the zest and the camaraderie and the fact that these blokes may not see each other for 12 months, but they get together and go, mate, how are you going? And they have the most amazing time, and it's only a week, so it fits with whatever they're doing. But that sense that I think that serious leisure and the way that it is about personal benefits, about how serious you are, unpacks recovery into a way that allows us to say, I can see why doing that sort of thing would have an enduring effect, and why holidays where you just lie on the beach may have a very short-lived effect because you haven't really had a lot of fun. It might have been lovely. There might have been a lot of delightful daiquiris, and we've swum and we've done things like that, but we haven't necessarily really got stuck into something. And also the thing was a lot of those longer, particularly if you're serious about it, it takes a fair bit of preparation. So some of the research, so for example on surfing, says it's the trips away that you might go. Every month you might have a weekend away where you're traveling to go surfing, or if you think about going skiing or that sort of thing, that it takes a fair bit of planning. You've got to get ready. It's like all of those recovery type activities that lead up to the time in which you go and do that fabulous fun thing.
So, Roxane, can you tell us a bit about the theoretical basis behind this research?
Yeah, as Prue mentioned, we're looking at detachment, which has a lot of interest, and also being able to detach yourself from the work environment and then be able to, once you've detached, then be able to recover from it, as Son and Tang has talked about in, various elements of research as well. Because the thing with holidays and annual holidays for a week or two, as Prue mentioned, it's time bound, it's time specific, where you're away, you know what you're going to do, and that's it. And also during that time, some people might decide to continue to check on their email messages, continue to check in with the office. So they're not fully detached. And when people come back from those types of holidays, they say within half an hour being back in the office or working from home, they're like, oh, it's like I never left. So, it fulfills a purpose, but it doesn't get them fully away from the work environment. And if we look at Seligman's PUMA model, where you have, you're looking at positive effects, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. So does a normal holiday allow you to hit all of those areas, get something back from this downtime that you're having? Probably not, because as we know, there are various recovery scales. We use one in our research as well. One that I used that when I was doing my PhD, because I did a diary study, checking, how people responded day by day in being able to recover from what's happening. It will work short term, but it doesn't really give you those releases that has more of a long-term effect. But if you're into serious leisure, you've got a purpose. You're getting the positive effect, you're getting the engagement, you'll be able to build relationships, you've got meaning from what you do, and you're able to accomplish something. And again, that's where we want to figure out, does serious leisure allow you to detach enough, allow you to recover enough, allows you to sustain your mental well-being within a working environment? And if we can we then tell organizations, okay, we've got these set of studies that show, yes, these are the benefits. So if you work with your employees, with your workforce, and say, okay, you can have half an hour to step away, plan what you need to do on the weekend, every 3 weeks, annual leave with the safari, because, even for an annual event, it does take time to actually then say, this needs to happen, that needs to happen, that needs to happen. So you need the time to do that. Do you want to invest your employees to allow them the time, conserve their energy, focus on their well-being, so that actually it benefits you when they come back into the work environment, because they're not going to get bored quickly. They're not going to start getting stressed because you're asking them to do something. Work serves a purpose, and they will invest in the workplace, but then they need to step away from the workplace to maintain their mental health and their overall well-being. So I think, and I think, as Prue said, we know the literature, but the literature has not connected this information as yet. So, we know detachment, you need to detach, we need to recover. What is going to help us to achieve that within the work environment? Having a purpose outside of work that's intense, that you relish doing, that you benefit from doing it constantly, because if you're that involved in an activity, you have to focus on that activity fully when you're not within the work environment. Or even when you're in your work environment, yes, I need to do this, but I need to finish that project, I need to do this, I need to call that client. When I finish calling that client, that makes you think about what I can do when I'm, sewing, when I'm knitting fully, when I need, because if you're sewing, you're knitting, you're quilting, you say, okay, I need to finish this project that involves this amount of time and energy and purpose. And I'm also learning as well. Once I'm doing those activities, how can I do it differently? So your brain doesn't stop because you're doing the activity. You have to figure out, okay, what can you learn? And as we know, once you're constantly learning, once you're constantly engaging, it allows the brain to keep ticking. It allows, then that feeds all those good endorphins down through the rest of the body, because you're active, you're enjoying it. You have a purpose. You have that sense of, I am, because I can do this and I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy doing it with others. We can enjoy doing it myself, but I am. So yeah, the evidence is there. We just need to connect it with the serious leisure data to show that, yes, this is a value to employees, to workers, to organizations.
Yeah, and I like the perspective you're bringing there around that shared responsibility for mental health, which we do talk about quite a bit as well, that, a lot of the time the focus is on the individual building, whether it's resilience or, engaging in mindfulness or, doing exercise. It's, it's on you to do the things that you need to do to cope with the stresses of the workplace. But I do like the extra framing that you're bringing in there around, well, as an employer, these are the things that you can do that will actually give your workers the opportunity to actually engage in that recovery and have the best benefits of those recovery activities as well.
Do you need more psych health and safety in your life? Then head over to the Flourish DX Academy for several free on-demand e-learning courses. If you're an internal professional, follow Flourish DX on Eventbrite to register for any of our free fortnightly interactive webinars. Our flagship professional practice program is also exclusively available for internal professionals. The 12-week course blends theory, applied practice, and interaction with other professionals through live lectures and a monthly community of practice session. Find out more about all these learning opportunities or inquire about a bespoke in-house training at the Flourish DX Academy. www.45003.org. Now back to this episode. So I'm interested then. I'm actually really curious. What methods are you using? Because is there some double blind RCTs and things like that? I'm very happy to put my hand up to trial some serious leisure. Just putting it out there.
Well, at this stage, could you have a double blind? That's the tricky bit. So we're doing mixed methods, so quant and qual, to get at sort of as much as we can. But I think down the track it is about what sort of longitudinal tracking can we get. I did do a little bit of research with the Sunraysia Safari last year and got a small sample of people before, immediately after, and plus 3 months after the event, because I was interested in this notion about do engaging holidays, and as Roxane said, the purposeful holidays last longer, and certainly for about half of those 21 people, that they were still feeling holiday glow 2 to 3 months later, which is usually it's gone in 2 weeks. But it's really interesting, that sense that there is a longevity and there's a continued engagement because you're looking at videos of your in-car footage and things like that. So I think there is a place for a longitudinal study again, and also engagement in media studies. So Roxane and Pauline and I are looking at, can we get people to give us videos of their self-care, serious leisure activities, and we can get other people to then say what they think about those self-care things. So sort of can we do something like photo voice, that we get people to talk about why those experiences are particularly important to them. So, and the qualitative, of course, is so important because it allows people to say in their own words why they think this is fabulous and to unpack that. And it's really, I think it's really interesting to bring together org psych and this other side, because I found it really interesting. Roxane and I were recently at a conference, and of all of the people who spoke to, and there was a lot of them, there was only one person who knew about serious leisure. A lot of people with hobbies, but only one person had heard of serious leisure before, and which was really intriguing. And I think that there's a real gap there, that we can help people to understand the benefit of what they do, perhaps without thinking too much about it, but to recognise the benefit of that to themselves, and also then to inform organisations and employers and managers that you need to encourage your staff to be looking at what do they do for hobbies, not to force people into doing, God forbid, team building activities, which everyone goes, oh no, not the team building activities. But they do that everybody enjoys the range of hobbies that they do, hobbies and leisure activities, and whether people can find their tribe, because that's the thing, is that it allows you to meet a whole bunch of other really interesting people, and to have a group of people who know you not because of who you are at work, but because you're a quilter, or you're a potter, or you're a brewer of craft beers, or a collector of rare books, or mad about a series or of books or things like that.
Yeah, it's great to have these different tribes, as you call them, as well, right? And not have your whole personality and makeup associated with what you do at work. We're just talking with my 11-year-old daughter about that, and some other parents who, because my daughter, we counted it the other day, 11 sporting activities a week, if you count her training and playing, and across 3 basketball teams, 2 netball teams, and then swims 3 times a week.
Don't you
That's
love
just
exuberant kids?
That's just, oh yeah, I reckon she'd have an ADHD diagnosis if we didn't keep her run off her feet. But she, that's just one of our three kids, right? And the other two aren't far off in terms of what she does. But we just talked about, particularly at that age, and when you're getting into high school with girls, like sometimes you can have a falling out with your friends, but she's now got all these other friend groups as well that have passions that are different to what she does on the daily. And I can definitely see what you're talking about and how that might translate then to a work experience, not connecting completely with just what you do at work, but having these other relationships that surround other passions.
And I think also it means that if you have an iffy day at work, or you're a bit behind, or it's a bit of a challenge, it's like, no, it's okay, because I have something to look forward to. I have other people who think I'm fabulous, even if my boss doesn't.
Yeah, no, I can totally understand that.
I mean, and in particular, when we're talking about like layoffs and those sorts of things, I would imagine that the impact of those different tribes surrounding those hobbies and interests would be really significant in buffering some of the psychological impacts of a layoff.
And also, if you think about what they call weak ties, so not strong ties being, the people we know, but weak ties are friends of friends. That all of that sense that there may be someone through your hobby or your leisure activity knows someone else who's looking for someone like you. And they'll say, oh, you should talk to my friend Roxane because she could do that. And I'll go, oh, fabulous. Okay. And there you go. And then you've, those associations can help. And I think it's the more people you know, the as you say, it buffers you for loneliness. It buffers you for all sorts of the slings and arrows of life, that you may need just a little bit of someone who says, oh, wow, that is so pretty. I love that. That's just, isn't that great? Isn't that's so, oh, you're so clever you did that. You think, oh, can't see what the mess underneath, but it's a real affirmation that you have value in whatever you do.
Yeah, wonderful. Roxane, can you take us through the main hypotheses of this research project?
Well, before I do that, I was thinking. I forgot to mention. I think just triggered me as Prue said about connecting outside of work with a serious leisure. Again, if you've got a very stressful day at work, if you've had something that went wrong, if you've got an outlet when you leave the workplace, it will help you to stop the ruminating about what you did wrong. How can I get it right? What else do I need to do? So I think it's important that we acknowledge that there is something that can actually help us to stop that rumination process that we know, there's enough research that shows it, that actually makes us ill because we keep thinking about it, we don't let it go, we hold on to it. That has an impact on our brain, on the rest of our body. We get tense, we just keep thinking, and that's very negative. So I think having an outlet that serious leisure can give you actually helps you to step away from that rumination process. So my hypothesis is basically that that if you engage within serious leisure, whichever hobby, that you are fully engaged at the point in time that you're doing it, it will actually help you to improve your mental health in terms of stress, anxiety, depression, and also, become, I forgot the term I was going to use, and I do apologize. I'll come back to it in a bit. So I was thinking
You'll remember it at midnight.
I know. All the hooting outside, because we tend to assess both positive and negative. We assess the negative and the positive. So you always assess positive and negative effect. We always assess, if we're looking at hassles, you look at uplifts. So we try to get the breadth of, okay, what effect is this having on you? Is it improving your work engagement? Is it improving your job satisfaction? As we always add those two outcomes as variables in our research, because those are two of the best ways to show that people are actually benefiting from the work environment. Are they engaged in work? Are they satisfied with what they do? If not, is it, reducing their positive effect? Is it increasing their negative effect? What is going on? So you've got these perceptions that If you improve, if you have serious leisure that you actually enjoy, you've got your tribe, you know what you want to do, you can say, okay, fine, that happened at work. It was a disaster. I'll deal with it Monday morning. I'll deal with it when I go back in 2 days' time. What can I do then? So that when I get back into work, you can deal with the pressures and the stresses of the work environment, but are you going to stay satisfied with what you do at your job? Are you going to say, yes, I'm going to continue to be engaged? Is my stress levels going to be reduced? That's basically what we're trying to find out. How does serious leisure impact on what happens within the work environment, the positive and the negative effects? And as Prue said, she's got preliminary data that show that, yeah, it does have a positive effect that would have a longitudinal impact as well.
Yeah, okay. So you're looking at the effects on individual health and then also the effects on organisational outcomes.
Yes, we are. Because we think it's essential, because you need to show how it's impacted on the person. You also need to show the benefits that the organizations get if someone is healthy, happy, productive, enjoy what they do, because we're also looking at illegitimate tasks as a separate project as well. And we know that data around illegitimate tasks as well. You get something that you think does not actually add value to you. And there's actually a bit of insult in saying that, well, you can do this because you're there. I see you. So you can do this piece of work that no one else wants to do because I've got the power and I'm giving it to you. If you're engaging in serious leisure, you think, well, yeah, it's just another project. I'll get it out of the way. But then it doesn't impact me because you've got an outlet. You've got something that says, I matter. I enjoy this. And other people I know in my tribe, they're going to enjoy this as much as I do, because I'm going to go with them, sit while we knit, sit while we quilt, get in a car, van. I don't know what you drive when you go on a rally. Something with wheels, I think, and a steering wheel. Four tires and a steering wheel, probably.
Roll cage, 5-point harness, helmet, harness device.
Joy.
Yes.
Yeah, not me. No, not for me, no. Yeah, but you've got those inputs. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, that's all right. Yeah, no, because we have to do the same, right? So we want to demonstrate the benefits of things like psychosocial risk management. Why would you consult with work? It's about how you can mitigate, the work determinants of mental health. So you need to, show there's something in it for employees to participate, and then you need to show employers why would you worry about addressing psychosocial hazards in the workplace from both a health perspective and the moral obligation, but then also they want to see productivity outcomes as well associated with that. So I think it's in this field you have to show both to win the hearts and minds of the people who you want to change behaviour, and then demonstrate the benefits to people who might be paying for it or encouraging it. So I guess we've kind of alluded to it a little bit, but what do you see as the main practical applications of this research?
Do you want to take that, Prue, and I can jump in?
You can go first if you like.
I think the practical applications of it is that we know that I think there's a lot of scaremongering that goes on with respect to the work environment, with respect to society, with respect to organizations. So the practical is that, people will do what they want to do and something that brings them joy and happiness. So we have to let people know that, fine, do what you do what you love. And it has these wider impacts on your well-being, how you approach the work environment, how you approach the interactions within the work environment, because it will help you to, if there are always tensions within work, and it'll help you to quickly step back from that, because you think, yeah, well, that's happening, but I can deal with that because I know I've got an outlet that can help me address the stresses and the tensions that are happening within the work environment. So it's again, whenever I work with organizations, I always tell them, an intervention does not have to be expensive. An intervention does not have to be convoluted, difficult to implement. It's as simple that usually works. And if you try to make it too convoluted, trust me, it wouldn't get done, it wouldn't get started, and it wouldn't happen. And then you're still left with employees who are distressed, unhappy, don't want to be there. And it's a cost to keep unhappy, unhealthy people within the work environment. There's a cost to it. So the practical aspects of it is that keep it simple, engage with your employees, allow them the time, allow them to, be able to step out of the work environment, whether it's a day of work, an hour of work, so they can engage in something that would actually help them to make them function better within the work environment when they step back in. You know, they always have these different groups within organizations that, people can step into, whether you're LGBTQ, there are other um, you know, um, capital letters that I really can't remember right now, whether it's women, whether it's men, they always have these groups and then you can interconnect with them. Well, is it okay to have some groups that say, okay, well, this is a group that looks at hobbies. Can you give them an hour a month to join that group so that they can actually bounce ideas off each other? So they can step away from the environment, within the work environment, come back in and say, oh yeah, we discussed this, we discussed that, I'm going to work on that in my own time now. So I'm more focused on what I need to do that will actually benefit the employer, benefit the organization, benefit the culture of the organization, benefit the way people interact within the organization. Because if you allow people that little bit of freedom, those tensions can actually begin to drop away from them. If you want to improve the culture, allow people the time to improve on the culture, which they can do within these settings as well. So there are a lot of practical elements, and then people be a lot more calmer, don't take on as much of the tension. Their language will start to change as well within the work environment. And I mean, it's communication is the most vital part of any organization, because your people have to be able to communicate well, and also communication is about talking. It's also about listening. It's also about hearing. So when people have that time to step back, when they step back in, trust me, their demeanor will change because they're not as stressed. And I worked with a colleague who work was to pay for the serious leisure, and that was it. So when things happen, the individual did get a bit stressed. That we had a couple of sessions where, but then it's like, okay, fine, it's gone because I'm going hiking on the weekend. I'm doing this 10-mile run, going up to the Highlands in Scotland and walk for 6 hours. Come back to Monday morning, I'm fine. I can deal with what has happened, because again, it allows you to think, well, a lot of what happens in organizations is not person specific, is because of something that has happened, and a lot of people internalize it about being about them. And if you can then say, no, that's not about me. That's about the culture. That's about poor management. That's about poor leadership. That's about not understanding the role because the organization hasn't given me the skills to understand exactly what I'm meant to be doing. Okay, I'm going to go around for 5 miles, do a 10-mile K hike for 3 hours. You release, you come back in, fine. It is very practical. It allows organizations to understand that interventions don't have to be time consuming, they don't have to be expensive, and they don't have to take a long time to implement as well.
Yeah, we often see that companies think that every intervention costs money, whereas, like you say, a lot of them are free, and it's just about guiding people to the right activity. And some of them can even save money. So even better.
Yeah. Oh, should include that clue. Prue, fine. Okay, how much does this cost? And what's the cost benefits of the organization?
Every CFO wants to see the ROI before they prioritize or get the CEO to prioritize. So, yeah.
And I think what I would add to that is that it gives people the discipline to say no. I had long service leave in 2022, and I didn't realize how tired I was, but I sewed every day for 6 weeks, which was the most amazingly indulgent thing to do and the best fun ever. But it was really interesting that when coming back to work and getting into it, it was like, okay, well, I can sew on Sunday. And it's like, I don't need to, I am not checking my emails because you know what? It'll still be there on Monday. So it's sort of, I was better because I had this thing that I really wanted to do. I was able to say, no, not going to do that. So it is about wanting, about taking control of your own time and not waiting for your employer to give you permission to set boundaries for yourself in your own life, and also to be reasonable in terms of, we have an obligation to our employer to do our work. That is, they actually pay us to produce. That's the trade-off of time and money for our time for their money. And so there's the thing about that, but there's also then to know for yourself is like, I get that done, and then this is my time. I'm not going to be doing all those other things. And I was thinking when Roxane was saying, I have a few of with some of my the women I work with, is that we keep threatening we're going to have a craft-afternoon because they're crocheters, and I think it hasn't got off the ground because I need a sewing machine. I don't crochet or knit just yet, but it's interesting about. It is about empowering people to recognize what they like to do. And even if you start asking people, have you got a hobby? And at the conference, there were a lot of people who did exercise and things like that. There was one of our friends who said that they were interested in a type of music called rock in opposition. I went, and they went, oh no, it's a very specific 90s genre of rock and roll. It's like, okay, but all sorts of different things, and as many people as there are different types of things like to do, and what we can do as colleagues is to encourage our friends and our peers and even our managers to say, do you have a hobby? What do you do? How are you going to spend your time? And to start the conversation about what do you like to do on the weekend, so people recognise what they do and what they like, and so that they can build that, so that they think on themselves on the weekend. Very impressive. that they can for themselves think, oh, I could do that too. And so we give them, not permission's too strong a word, but you get people to think about what that might look like so that they can themselves find the things they like to do, because they might be interested in comics or a particular video game or line dancing or going to the football, or I don't know. There's an amazing bit of research out there on serious leisure, but even all of the different things that people do that you can empower yourself and others to think about what they like to do and to do more of it.
Yeah, I can see some of our staff involved in some of those serious leisure pursuits.
Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking about like my team and the number of different hobbies that would fall under that particular category as well, that do kind of take a lot of investment and skill development and all of that sort of thing. So yeah. I wonder as well, is there a sense that like having a hobby where you do have sort of a group commitment that you've made, or like some sort of a physical time commitment, team sport, or like even like a book club or anything like that, but where there is that community element to it, does it provide a greater sense of legitimacy for somebody to sort of actually create that work boundary as well, to say like, well, no, I can't do that because I have this commitment?
It probably, and I think it may seem more reasonable to the person who wants you to keep working, to say, well, I can't do that because I have promised someone else. And it's likely that if you have a manager or an organisation that doesn't really value that, is that you may have to hang tough and sort of say, I appreciate that, but I have made a commitment to someone else. So it's sort of like it does make it easier, although I don't have any problem saying I have a quilt to make.
Yes,
Very
I have a book
serious.
to read.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I have a lot of those. and it can be, but even if you say a book to read, reading books is part of it, but it might be just that you enjoy learning things, so that, your serious leisure is to learn more about birds. And the earlier research on serious leisure was about bird watching, and that sense that as you become more serious, is that there is definitely a progression in your level of knowledge and your understanding, that you become more expert in that particular field. And part of what we hope to achieve out of the research is to get a sense about, are people looking at this leisure as something that could be turned into a business? So could you be entrepreneurial about your leisure? And of course, the risk with that is that something you do because it's so much fun becomes a job, which is sort of like, what is that? Where are those boundaries there? So it's such an interesting. It's unexpectedly interesting, because it's sort of like, I feel like we've opened a door and gone, oh, I did not know this was behind here. Like, oh, we should find out about this. Why does that happen? Why? So obviously one of our hobbies is that to find out more stuff about all sorts of things.
Yes, that's ultimately what every researcher wants, isn't it? A door that they open and find a whole pile of unexpected things to explore.
Go, oh, why? Tell me. I want to know about that. Yes. Fortunately, it's a very long way from here to Wentworth, which is like driving along going, what is that? Could that be that? Could be that? What is going on here? Yes. So there
Fantastic. So you're currently in an active data collection phase, and you're looking for participants. So if listeners are doing some serious leisure, how can they help you out with your research?
They can either send us an email, or I have shared with you that. So we have 2 surveys going. It's a little bit complicated. We have the survey, which is the measures, quantitative, that sort of thing. But we also have a qualitative survey, which is open-ended questions about, what you do and why it fills your cup and how it affects the rest of your life. But we're also happy to do the qualitative one as a Zoom interview. So, and happy to talk to people all over the place.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So we'll stick a link to the survey in the
show notes.
That's what I see. I do it too, Roxane.
You need some serious leisure, I think.
Legit. Have we got a project for you?
No, but I think we'll share it within our team as well.
Definitely. We have some very interesting interests in our team.
Oh, nice. And I have to say, the other lovely thing about, once you talk to people about serious leisure, it opens another way that you can find connection with people. And also, I'd have to say, it's connection, but also if you have people with different levels within an organisation, to engage honestly and interestedly with people who, for example, if I talk to the lovely young lady who's our admin person about her craft things, that we show that we're interested in people and like people regardless. It's not like, oh, well, I only talk to academics. No, I'm interested in people. So it's a really nice way to build stronger and more real connections in people and in teams as well.
Yeah, I think that karaoke experience probably busted a few barriers at work.
Sure did. Yes, we did team karaoke.
Yeah, for those listeners who know Dr. Tim Bednall in our team, he can bust out a mean Louis Armstrong.
Yep.
You wouldn't believe it.
Yep. And we had some detractors, and they were won over. Ha!
See, there you go. Absolutely.
I missed it, but I did see some of the video that they recorded. So
there wasn't much recording of videos happening.
No, but I did see some of the Louis Armstrong, which was very impressive. Well done, Tim. Hey, to both of you, it's been a fascinating conversation. Like you said, this draws on a lot of theoretical underpinnings, but not many people have pulled them all together, particularly thinking about a leisure pursuit and then looking at the organisational benefits of that. So, kudos to you for your research, and all the best, and we'll do our best to promote the research and help you to find a good sample.
Thank you very much. Thank you. No, it's been really nice to rave on to another group of people about it. We've got very passionate about sort of like anybody says, "What are you doing?" Well, let me tell you. Do you have a hobby?
Yeah,
So no, it's
we
been
did.
lovely.
We did
Thank
color
you.
a few of the delegates from the conference. I was like, okay, you're gonna listen to this.
No, terrific. Well, one of the questions we do like to ask all of our guests at this point in time, though, it might be hard with two of you, so you might have to keep it short. But if you were to think about the future of workplace mental health, what would your hopes for the future of workplace mental health be?
I think to give people the confidence to be to give it a red hot try. Whatever you want to do, give it a red hot try. And it might be that you decide that you're going to do this. Give it everything. It may not be what you really want to do. It might work, it might not, but at least you know you gave it a go. And then you can give something else a go.
Yeah. Are you talking about individuals trying a mental health pursuit for themselves, or workplaces trying an intervention and seeing if it works?
I think both. I think it's about managers going, don't be half-hearted about it, and employees don't be sort of do what you can. Talk to the people you work with. Learn the names of the people you work with. Be interested in everyone and smile.
Yeah, simple words of advice, but yeah, it can make a difference, that's for sure. And what about yourself, Roxane?
Um, well, I'm of the thought that we know what we need to do with an organization so that people remain safe, healthy, engaged, committed, want to work hard, want to produce, want to, want to do a good job. Because the majority of people do not go into an organization and think, yeah, I'm going to do a rubbish job here because, and I'm going to make myself ill because I'm just not going to listen to what anybody tells me. No one goes into an organization thinking those things. They want to work. And as we said before, it's not hard to make sure people can work safely, healthily, become engaged, enjoy their jobs, have positive relationships. All those things are feasible with effort. In some organizations, it would be minimal effort. In some organizations, it would have to be maximum effort. But we do know what works. We do know how to keep people healthy, engaged, and having a fulfilling work life. We just need to do it. We just need to accept that we don't need the tensions. There are times when you have pressure and you have to finish something. You've got a bit of tension because you need to get something going. And I've worked on a lot of high pressure projects. When you get a bit tense, you get a bit, and you get different things that not as supporting what you need to do. So those are usually short term. Once you get over that, you should be able to step back in an environment where you are supported. You do have the resources you need. Because all our research so far has shown you have more resources, the healthier you are. It's not rocket. Again, it's not rocket science.
That's how you started this. Yes, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. Just give it a go. Yeah.
Let's just do it. To organizations, let's just do it. To people, speak up and say, this is not working. I need X, Y, and Z for me to work effectively. Can you give me that? And again, people are not irrational. They're not, you say, I can't give you X and Y. I can give you A and B. Maybe next year I can give you X and Y. Again, communicate, talk, interact, have those conversations about what's feasible, what's not, when you can get changes, when you can't get changes. And with any organizational change, people are willing to do it with you. And they're willing to know what the organization can afford, what it can't afford in terms of time, commitment, expense. Talk to people and work with them. It's not hard. Let's just do this, people.
Transparency and communication. They're just easy wins. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, last question for the two of you. Do you have words of advice for listeners who are interested in working in the area of workplace mental health?
Yeah. Yeah, if it's something that you want to do, and there are a lot of people getting involved in this area because they've been through something and they've found the benefits of working through it, so they say, yes, I want to work in this area. I applaud that, but do you actually know what's involved in working within this area? Because it can be quite engaging, can be quite tiresome as well. And you do need to know the theory and the models of what you need to do within this area in order to be fully engaged, be able to actually, make sure that whatever you do actually benefits organizations and individuals. So then it's fine if you've got the learning experience, yes, but you also need the theoretical experience. You also need, you need to know what research has been done, how it's done. You need to know the evidence behind these areas as well. So yes, if you can't commit to a full, you may want to do things like mentor someone or coach someone or, help within committees and so on. You can get engaged, but I think my personal view is that some people get engaged in the area without fully understanding the amount of learning and knowledge and commitment you need to engage in this area. And sometimes, as we know, there are things that are promoted with an organization we think, no. Evidence that works? No. That does not fit the culture? No. That may have a short-term benefit. Definitely wouldn't have a long-term benefit. So I think it's knowing your limitations. And if you identify your limitations, what else do you need to learn? What else do you need to do to bring yourself up to how you can actually have a positive impact in terms of mental health, mental well-being within the work environment?
Excellent advice. Thank you, Roxane. And Prue?
I think I would agree. It is, you need to get as much training as you possibly can, so that you are aware of what's the current literature. So going to conferences, joining professional groups, those sorts of things. But also it's about recognizing that helping other people can be onerous. It can be quite confronting because you are hearing people's troubles, and so you have to think about the ways that you are going to unburden yourself so that you can sustain your practice in the longer term. And serious leisure would help that, but sometimes you may need to deal with your own challenges, and to be honest with yourself about the choice of your own life and the sort of influences that have led you to this particular work. But also then to as I said before, it's like if you decide to do it to the best of your ability, which means that you will fit, then that you've done it to the highest standard. You get that sort of balance, but also to be open to the opportunities that it can bring, and to listen and to learn. And why not? Why not get into it? Because you never know. You might find that this is absolutely where you should be.
Why not, indeed?
Why not? Yeah. Well, to you both, Prue and Roxane, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk about your research so passionately. It's always great to talk to academics who love what they do, and they love the field of research that they've fallen into, right, when they've identified a need. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll definitely share out the link to participate in your research for anyone listening to the podcast who'd like to participate.
Thank you very much.
Well, listeners, that brings us to the end of this episode. Remember, we do record these over video when we have these conversations with our amazing guests, and you can catch those videos on the Flourish GX YouTube channel. We also take snippets of these conversations and put them on the Flourish GX LinkedIn page, so follow along there for some of the nuggets of gold. And while you're over on LinkedIn, feel free to connect with Joelle and myself, who'd love to continue the conversation with you there. But that's it for today. We'll catch you next episode.
You've been listening to the Psych Health and Safety Podcast. To stay up to date with the latest on psychological injury prevention, follow Flourish DX on LinkedIn and subscribe to the Psych Health and Safety Podcast at www.psychealthandsafety.com.